everybody, this is Alchemisted, and welcome back to Space Engineers. We have relocated from Earth orbit to the Tanis Derelict. This is actually something that I downloaded a program called Cube the Sphere, and I was fixing to do this. I wanted to start like making homeworld backgrounds, and I found somebody at the, I looked at the Skybox site. I'll put the link in the description. There's a Skybox site for Space Engineers now. So if you don't like the default Skybox for this game, which to be honest is kind of terrible, then you can download these and they're fantastic. I used one that was like a Martian-looking, Mars-looking alien planet. It was labeled alien planet. Pretty sure it was just Mars. But yeah, somebody has like made the Tanis Derelict, and they've done it and it's something interesting with it. So this that I'm panning across, this is the sphere map for the Tanis Derelict that I'm sort of like panning left and right over. But I think that's just like one or two sides of the cube. I think what somebody did, because the Tanis Derelict background from Homeworld 2 is a sphere map. So it's a long rectangular map that sort of like, when the ends meet, it kind of like, they meet so that it looks like one seamless map. The maps in this game are cube mapped, though. That means you're literally inside a giant box. There's a top, a bottom, and like sides. There's like 6 sides. I don't know why they did that. I would have thought it would be easier to just sphere map the place. But, yeah, so I think what they've done is they seem to have gone into GIMP or Photoshop and shrunken down the Tanis Derelict sphere map and like added like this star field. This could be from Homeworld 1. If this is like the map from Homeworld 1 or something, let me know. But I don't remember it looking like this in Homeworld 2. But yeah, this is the Tanis Derelict. This is where they were building the Heart of Higara, their Pride of Higara, whichever one it was in Homeworld 1, and they built a new one in Homeworld 2, and which was an awesome-looking ship that they casually discarded towards the end of that game for the bear ship, for Sejuk. But yeah, so I've actually been like taking ships from a couple of maps that I'd been working on before making that video a while ago. So I'm gonna go ahead and land over here. Let me like land this thing and I'll show off, because this thing tends to drift even though I put gyroscopes on it. This is a heavy fighter that I was working on. I need to work on a sideways thrust. And I kind of abandoned it because it seemed to be too heavy. But as you can see, it's moving quite well now. In fact, it's moving extremely well to the point where I'm having trouble adjusting it a little bit. But I'll get used to it. But I kind of like took a look at it and said, wonder if I can go back and work on that. Because I kind of just sort of like went, oh, this thing's way too heavy to be a fighter. And kind of just forgot about it. But I went back to it and I was like, no. I was onto something. And started work up on it. Let's go ahead and turn that off. So yeah, this is my heavy fighter. And it is a lot of fun to fly. It's got some cargo space up front. It's got like 3 small containers. Same armament as like the default fighters. It's just a lot heavier, and maybe a little faster. It's got plenty of thrust. It's got 5 reverse thrusters in front. It's got some searchlights, just in case, and it's got like a large thruster and 2 small and 4 small thrusters in back. Plenty of power to power it all. That was one of the big problems with the other one, was power. It didn't have very much. So this one's got plenty. And yeah, I think I'm going to be sticking with this one, because I think this one is going to be going with me, just in case of wherever. So these are the fighters I was working on before, and I deleted a couple of them. I deleted the one with the weird ass setup. Somebody said that I should put a gyroscope, like an additional gyroscopes. It already had like the various parts attached to the rotors already had gyroscopes on them, and it was still moving weird. So, or I attached more to them, and it still didn't work out. So, this this is the one that I was showing off before, the nigh finished version of the initial prototype, and then I iterated a little bit on like a larger version. This one I didn't really like so much. You can see the idea though. I was kind of trying to shrink this thing down a little bit and make it move a little faster. What I found out is it already moves plenty fast. The problem with this is this thing in the back is like trying to have that turret adds a lot of like mass that's just kind of there. And especially when you have gyroscopes on the thing, it slows the rest of the fighter down. But as soon as you take that thing off, the fighter takes off like lightning. So yeah, there's really doesn't seem to be much you can do. I will probably keep this fighter around as like a heavy station defender or something. And that'll basically be it. I'll probably be sticking with that over there. Like, this fighter is basically be like for multiplayer stuff, because it's a two-person ship. You got a pilot, you got a gunner in back. And, yeah. This one, ample power in that one. Like, more than enough power to go around. I tried having 2 large generators in this one to power everything, because I was using 4 of these large thrusters. Turns out that's colossal overkill. You only really need 1 large generator. So, yeah. This one, underpowered as hell, but still fun to fly. Moves pretty well. Doesn't have the speed issues as the other. But it will go over budget on power really fast, especially once you have the inertial dampers kicked on. It's going to go over budget quickly. And yes, did I get like banged up or something over here? Because that's a weird. Has it gotten like banged up or something? That doesn't look right. That looks like it's got taken a few hits. I suppose it fits with the whole design. It's basically a flying gas can with guns. Yeah. This heavy fighter. I'm gonna have to find I was thinking of like Minotaur heavy fighter or something along those lines. I think it fits. But yeah, this thing is really cool. And I'm going to be keeping it. This is going to be my pet. Going to feed it. Going to care for it. Going to caress it. Yes, caress the fighter. Anyways, so that's not the only thing I've been iterating on. Oh, by the way, this is something else I found that I really loved was somebody made a really good rifter in the workshop, and I forget who it was. I might plug them in the description. Although, if I could, if you're the guy who made this and you're watching, I know you've put in a ton of gyroscopes in this, because I've opened this up and looked, and maybe blown up one of these and had to fix it. But, more. More gyroscopes, dude. This thing goes a little bit over budget on power as well, but it's pretty fun to fly. I used to play EVE Online. I used to fly a Rifter. So, yeah. And it seems pretty spot on. Loaded down with machine guns. I think I use like regular cannons and missiles on mine. I don't remember how many missiles it could support. It wasn't that many. So this might be pretty spot on. And there's it's got plenty of radar, which is something else that like EVE, the ships in EVE all usually have like lots of dongly bits. But yeah, It also looks a lot cleaner than a Rifter because there's no like brown color or anything. So this should look like a giant piece of rust, really. Um, like held together with like duct tape and hope, like rusty duct tape, like duct tape that's been like ripped off of some I don't know, some tool in an auto shop that's been stuck to for years and like slapped onto this with like some adhesive sprayed on it to keep it like stuck together. Like that's really how like all the old Minmatar stuff looks. Like made of like girders and hope. So yeah, really cool Rifter. This is something else. These are something else I've been iterating on, and I've named the class of ship that I've been working on the Vagrant, and this is the first, and it looks like a giant potato with rings around it because that's basically what it is. So the idea was, back when the only weapons that were available were like kinetic weapons or warheads. Kinetic weapons meaning like you take like a big solid piece of like bar of like ship armor and like stick it on like clamp onto it with some landing gear and then accelerate and then like hit your inertial dampers and stop, and you like release your landing gear and then you like hit your inertial dampers and stop, and that object will just fly forward into whatever you are pointing at. And like you would have basically like all the YouTube videos were showing like people testing those, and like the basic rule of thumb was like 3 to 4 layers of armor was really all that was needed to protect you from like a single hit, which was good because after a single hit they've basically blown their load, which was the problem with those weapons. Well, so I decided, well, I'm going to make a ship that I'm going to be safe in because fuck knows what the AI pirates will eventually do, because I know there's going to be a survival mode, and of course in the survival mode there's going to be things to survive. So I wanted a ship that I could carry over to survival mode that would be good. And I will carry one of these ships over to survival mode because I've been working on them for like days on end. But in all that work, I'm going to use them. But yeah, this is the Mark 1, and it is a giant potato, and this ship is actually smaller than it looks. It looks ungodly huge, and it is, but the interior, I'm going to show you like the entire interior of this ship right now to give you an idea of how just over-armored this piece of shit is. Let's go ahead and open this. Looping door sounds. So yeah, we also have doors now. Yeah, so this is the engine room. You got the beacon, you got all your gyros. I like this setup for gyros. I think it looks cool. I think it looks atmospheric. And this is my like visual aesthetic at work. Is like the angled out sort of passages. You'll see a lot of that in this. Let's see. I was gonna like have a ladder up to the engine pod above the ship. I'll talk about more of that later. A cargo bay with like the medical room, which is gonna be essential in survival because this is where you're gonna respawn. So you're gonna want to make one of those soon as possible. So here we have another one of the passages with like angled out corridors and such. And here you have the bridge. Yeah, more of this aesthetic at work, and then you have the controls here. And not gonna lie, yeah, it's kind of responsive for a ship its size. I'm like rolling the mouse and like picking it up and rolling it again to get it to turn like this, though. You can hear me doing that probably. So yeah, not particularly responsive. Accelerates all right. It's nothing special. It's certainly got enough power to go around, but yeah, that's basically all there is. That's literally all there is. Like, this is literally all there is to this ship. this room, this hallway, this room, the engine room, and that's it. Like that's literally, let's close all these doors. That's literally all there was. Um, for a ship this size. That's ridiculous. I like the thoom it makes when it closes. That's literally all there is to this ship. That's it. It's not a big ship inside. It's just got enormous amounts. Too much armor, actually. Too much armor spoils the ship. And this ship got spoiled like crazy. Although I may actually use this design still. I might use it still. I might remake it as a station, because it's kind of got that look to it. So one of the things that used to be attached to this thing, there used to be like a landing pad attached to this, like the landing pad on the back of the other ship that I showed off before. I'll show you again, and it's quasi-finished state. You can see it kind of over there. There used to be like a landing pad with like an upside down radar thing and like a spinning sort of like searchlight on the bottom. And yeah, I will probably keep this design, but as a station. And yeah, that'll be cool. So I mentioned the pod, this engine pod, and they have similar pods on the other models that I'll show you. This engine pod was originally going to be used for a gravity drive, and that was going to be the main, like, quick acceleration for the ship. And what a gravity drive is when you take a free-floating block and you cushion it with landing gear, and then you use a gravity generator to cause it to fall forwards of the ship. And it will push on the landing gear blocks, and in doing so, it will push the ship forward at a gradually increasing rate of acceleration. And by gradually, I mean fast. Like, I say gradually, but it adds up really fast. And it's a really great way of propelling larger ships forward. Although one has to stop eventually. And that's what I was going to do. I was going to build a gravity drive into that thing. Still might. Just might make this like a giant, like, moving starbase or whatever, like the Typhon from like Star Trek Invasion. Nobody played Star Trek Invasion. Forget I said Star Trek Invasion. Anyways, so I decided, like, all this armor is good, but I should probably make something that can just run. So I decided to take the ring system, which I thought was a good idea, and I still think it's a good idea. In fact, I think it's the best idea I had regarding this design. So I took this ring system. The original idea of this ring system was going to be that I was going to use gravity generators to repel things. Like, I was going to basically make a deflector shield for the ship. And I was going to align these gravity generators to face out, to point the gravity field outward, so that things flying at the ship would basically, like, get repelled by them. And that was going to be the primary defense. And the armor was just going to be like anything that got through. Turns out that doesn't work very well, because when two gravity generators are in range of each other and aligned in different ways, it screws with the ship's gravity. Like, suddenly you're like walking, suddenly everything's diagonal, and that's not good. That's no good. So yeah, the gravity drive wouldn't have been a problem, because you'd turn off the gravity drive when you weren't using it, and you'd be seated when you were using it. So yeah, anybody else riding the ship might have a problem, but driver sure as hell won't, unless it's slowing down. So that's when I went back to the drawing board and decided to keep the ring system, because it does make a decent bit of defense. Like, you're trying to hit the ship, you're probably going to, like, hit the rings a fair amount of times, and that's going to hurt. But it's also going to protect the rest of the ship. So this is the Mark II. This is the ship I showed off in my last Space Engineers video. This is its completed form. And it's maneuverable. It's pretty maneuverable. It can it's pretty agile. But the acceleration, and I'll show off that other one, because it's essentially got the same amount of agility as this one, so you won't be missing much. But the problem is the acceleration. Like, I found that I was going over. I wasn't going over budget on energy, but my acceleration was really bad. Like it was taking too long. It was taking too long. The benchmark I've kind of said is like 5 kilometers per second. Like, how long does it take me to get to 5 kilometers per second? Because 5 kilometers per second is when you're starting to move at a decent clip. Not terribly fast, but it's it's when you're starting. It's the point at which your large ship is starting to move. You know, so this ship does not really get there very quickly. So I decided I needed to go back to the drawing board again on how this thing works, and I also took the liberty of using the new colorable lights to add marker lights, and these are now colored. They're no longer like just bright white. That's cool. They used to be just bright white, just like bright white, despite the fact that you would color the light out coming out of them. So I'm glad they changed that, and it looks really cool. It looks super cool, especially like on the dark side of the ship when you can see like the marker lights. Um, I think I got them right. I think like green is starboard and red is port. I think that's right. I didn't really look it up while I was working on it, so somebody can let me know. No blinkers yet, though. Could really use blinkers. Love a blinker. But yeah, that's basically how that ship turned out. Interior is exactly the same as it was before. So no real change. Got a blue light inside. That's about it. Like some changes in lighting, and nothing really else. No mod blocks in right now. I'm kind of waiting until they allow modders to expand your inventory of blocks to use, because the problem with mod blocks is they'll overwrite each other. And so there's like tons of great mods coming out, and I'm just like, when are you gonna make it so the modders can just do that? So yeah, so some like lights at the front, some just like regular lights. Yeah, regular reflectors at the front. Don't know what they're reflecting that brightly, but they're reflecting something, and it's bright. And it lights up stuff in front of you. So let's go ahead and move to the current variant of the Vagrant class starship. And I got some recoloring to do. Yeah, let's go ahead and recolor these. You can recolor blocks with like the middle mouse button, which is nice. You don't have to constantly like take out and replace blocks if you fucked up the color, which I kind of did here. So this used to be the ring. You can tell the forward ring is gone because I felt it was adding too much mass. That was contributing to its lack of acceleration. So I decided, let's get rid of that ring. Let's try like making the booster assemblies more focused. Let's try using more of these large boosters since I had such an energy surplus before. And yeah, we can also take that opportunity to add some extra armor to the sides. It's already pretty armored up as it is. And I have yet to add armor, but I also have yet to see how that's going to affect its momentum. As far as forward momentum goes, this thing hits 5 kilometers per second at a pretty decent rate. Far better than the other one. So it's faster, it's got some more armor on the sides, it's crazy maneuverable, and I'll show that off. And I've also been working on stuff. This is something else from the workshop. This is a Hagaran interceptor. I've messed with it. I've added like a rocket launcher. I don't think the Hagaran interceptors had missiles in Homeworld, in either Homeworld. Yeah, this is a Hagaran interceptor, like a Hagaran fighter. So I'm like kind of representing my favorite strategy games. This is something I've been working on. This is something I made for pure utility's sake, and I decided to keep it. These two things. These are, if you ever saw Star Trek, you saw those, whenever a ship is in dock, you see the little yellow ships flying everywhere. Those are called worker bees. Those are basically what these are, is they're worker bees. They got, magnetic clamp, like maglocks magnetic landing gear, clampy thingies on the front, back, and on the underside, so they can carry stuff, they can push stuff. They've got lights, which is one of the things that I needed them to use because I was working on the dark side of the ship and I wanted to light it up so I could see. So I made a little ship that could light that up, and that I could just sort of like leave next to the ship and light it up. It's got plenty of thrust to do what it needs to do. It's not a long-range ship. It's basically, you know, like basically the entire purpose of it is to like travel. You can see the large generator in there, or like a large generator and some gyroscopes. So yeah, it's basically a flying bomb, but uh, just like to like travel between installations and other ships and to like work on repairs to this ship. That's what I made this for. And yeah, they're actually pretty effective and pretty responsive and pretty fun to fly. So these travel pods, I might make a workshop. Uh, I might copy these into a new map and put them on the workshop for people to use because these are quite handy. Um, I don't know what I'm going to call them. The Hermes? Like the Hermes worker pod, maybe? I don't know. Long as I'm going with pretentious Greek names. But anyways, let's go ahead and go in here. Okay. Okay, that was odd. So, this is the, like, as I said, this is the revised version of the Mark II Vagrant. This is the Mark III. I called it the Vagrant because I thought that was a really cool name for an explorer ship. For, like, a ship that's just, like, somebody's ship while they're tooling around, where they live and where they work from, you know, their home in space. It's called the Vagrant. It also looks like a space bus, so it seemed to fit. Let's go ahead and go down here, because there have been some changes in this version under the hood, and you may notice I'm like a bit differently textured. I have a camo spacesuit, which is something you can find at scmods.com. Quite nice. Looks a lot better than the regular spacesuits. They'll be adding flags to it at some point, so I'm going to be putting like the flag of Sci-FiVERSUS. I don't know what that flag is. So, a bit darker down here. The lighting was a bit ostentatious before. I didn't like it. I can color the lighting now, so this looks cooler. Yes. Yes. Should put something like here. Should put like a frame here, in fact. Come on. Yes. There we go. That looks cool. Because original series had grates that look like this, don't judge me. So go back here and you'll get one of the changes under the hood to the ship, and that is that it now has an assembler back here. Built into it, or a refinery. It has a assembler towards the front. So yeah, we have a refinery back here, so we can refine fuel and components. So yeah, this basically is your home away from home now. It has everything you need. It has a refinery, assembler, it has large cargo, has small cargo upstairs, plenty of power, plenty of maneuverability, as I will demonstrate, and plenty of auxiliary craft in the back. And I will probably have to land my Minotaur on this ship at some point, because that is my fighter. I think I'm going to be keeping the fighter on this ship in case in like a multiplayer or something. Basically look over to one of my friends. That's kind of strange. That lighting right there. Look over to one of my friends and go like fighter duty. And they'll go fuck, but they'll do it because they don't want to blow up. So yeah, so this is the Mark III Vagrant. It's got plenty of secondary craft in the back. And let me go ahead and bust out my controller, because actually, that's not working. Oh, it's because I don't have XPatter running. Hang on. Okay, and XPatter is now on. Um, so I have mapped my ship controls to XPatter. So let's go ahead and... So, pretty responsive. Let me go ahead and zoom out a bit. So it turns pretty responsibly for a ship its size. It's basically instant. It's pretty much instant, especially if you're using the arrow keys, which is what I'm using on XPatter. I've mapped the maneuvering keys to the controller. So, okay, those are the sides. I think I've mapped rolling to the bumpers. I have to get reacquainted with these because I think I just flipped it upside down. Whee! My computer's chugging a bit, so it's not... You're not seeing it move as fast as it actually does. It's because I'm recording it right now. This game is still pretty unoptimized. It's still pretty... it's still alpha. So yeah, they still got lots of work to optimize this turkey. Okay. Okay, so... And I'm already hitting 5 meters per second, and that's the point where your ship is starting to move. It may also be because I'm carrying 3 secondary craft, also, that I'm slowing down a bit. But I'm already moving at a pretty decent clip for a ship this size. I could move faster, which is something that I'm going to be looking into. How can I make this thing move faster? That's going to be the inevitable Mark IV variant. Is how can I how can I find that balance in this thing? Like where can I get the best of both worlds, essentially? But I'm at 38. I'm at 40 meters per second. Not kilometers per second, meters per second. Sorry, I kept saying kilometers per second. Fuck. I'm at 40. I'm almost at 50 meters per second now, and if I let it go, I'm peaking at 99% energy usage with inertial dampers for just a moment. That's entirely just to slow myself down from like a speed of 50 meters per second. So that's not bad. That's not bad at all. I can deal with that. So let's go ahead and our inertial damper is turning off. Oh, it's Z. Yeah, I put the wrong button there. So I can speed up a lot faster with inertial dampers. Of course, I can turn a lot faster with inertial dampers off. It's damn near instant with inertial dampers off. My agility. So yeah, this ship will get you where you're going. It'll get you there at a pretty decent clip for a ship its size, and it can handle pretty well. Which are the things that I was looking for in a ship. I wanted a balance between size and safety and maneuverability. And I think I've kind of found that here. Alright, speeds above 50 meters per second hitting inertial dampers. Mind you, I was moving on several axes, so I'm having to fire multiple thrusters, but that peak was over budget for just like a half a second, so that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Let me sort of like park myself again, relatively close to that platform. So I'm a kilometer away from just about everything. That's something you have to be careful with any ship you fly is the speed, once you have inertial dampers turned off, will get to you eventually. Like, you will... the speed of your ship will sneak up on you. So you gotta kind of be aware of that. But yeah, I have pretty good confidence this thing would be able to run away from a threat, which is kind of what the idea behind the Vagrant is being a solid ship. They can handle most of the jobs you would want it to do. But also like be able to run away, you know, or fight effectively. Like being maneuverable enough to like be decent in a fight. And I have plans for a mod actually. There's a mod that's introducing like railguns or like Gauss guns. It's one of Paladin's mods, and it's just a block right now because you can't really introduce new weapons into this game because again it's alpha and it's all over the place in terms of like how its models work and such. So you can't edit the properties of weapons yet or add new ones. But once he does, there are these small scale railguns that I'm thinking of putting on this ship. And what I'm thinking of doing, let me switch from this controller back to the mouse. What I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to put them there. I'm going to put them in those 4 slots in the front. And it's just going to have these 4 Gauss... basically Gauss rifles, like sticking out the front. And this, like, just imagine this thing, like, just imagine, like, trying to dogfight this thing. Like, imagine, like, this thing launches the Minotaur to defend it. Like, somebody jumps in a Minotaur, and you're a player who's attacking, and the Minotaur, you want to take, like, you're going to have to take your focus off of this thing to fight the Minotaur, because the Minotaur is a giant fighter that's really maneuverable and has a lot of firepower on it. So that's a threat you want taken out. That's a threat to you taken out, because it can probably outmaneuver you, and it can outgun you pretty easily. But while you're dealing with the Minotaur, you look around, and suddenly you have this thing bearing down on you with those 4, like, big-ass Gauss guns sticking out the front. And, like, it's just bearing down on you. And something clipped it. Something clipped the ship. I'll have to fix that. You know, and this thing is just bearing down on you with those cannons just blazing away. It's bearing down on you with those cannons, and maybe even with these guns set to point defense, just set to automatically target whatever. You know, like this thing. I quite like that damage actually. It gives its ship character. But yeah, like this thing just like bearing down on you with those and blazing away at you with them. Yeah, like that, yeah, 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 yeah. Anyways, that's kind of the idea. Is like the ship that's maneuverable enough to sort of like get the drop on a fighter occasionally, but fast enough to run like hell when it needs to. That's basically what the idea behind the Vagrant is. And once this thing starts running away, you're not really going to be stopping it because its momentum is just going to carry it. I kept this bit on the front, partially because it has additional gyroscopes in there, and also partially because I think it looks cool. I don't know. There's something almost old-timey about that landing gear in front, like the way that's set up, that I like. There's something, I don't know what it is, but it looks, I don't know what it is, I just like the way that looks in front. So I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll keep that part. That part looks cool, and I need landing gear out front anyways for whatever. So yeah, this thing can land, this thing can fight well, it may be able to fight. Um, this thing can fly. It can maneuver really well for a ship its size. That's the Vagrant. There we go. There we go with the fast rolling. And there we go with the slow rolling. Come on. Roll back. Roll back. Roll back. There we go. Um, that is a problem. Is the inertia carries it through a roll. So what I kind of have to do is I kind of have to yaw into the roll a little bit to control it a little. Um, like I yaw into the roll to speed it up and also to control it, and that's easier to do with a controller than it is with a mouse and keyboard. I've noticed, which is why I mapped all the keys to like XPatter, is so I could more precisely fly this thing. So I've literally designed this ship to be flown by wire, basically. Um, so yeah, that's what I've been up to in Space Engineers. So this game has also added multiplayer. So if anybody knows any decent multiplayer servers, let me know. Especially one that lets you bring ships in, like that has a copy paste enabled. Because one of the things they did was copying and pasting ships was enabled initially, and then like in a later patch they disabled them. So let me know if there are any good servers with that enabled, because I might bring this in and do some field testing with it, and bring the Minotaur in and put it through its paces in like an actual combat environment. Although the combat is not particularly good right now, because again the game is in alpha and multiplayer is super alpha as well, so there's like tons of latency issues and such, but it could be fun. But yeah, that's Space Engineers for now. That's this update of Space Engineers, and they have said that it's going to slow down. The updates will slow down because they're going to be focusing on bug fixing for now. They've been releasing a big update every like Tuesday or Thursday, one of those, the past few weeks, past couple months actually, and now they're going to be slowing down to focus on bug fixing and all kinds of stuff. Kind of work on the stuff they've heard from people throughout the alpha, and yeah, super satisfied with this purchase though. I really have got like clearly I have spent a lot of like almost way too much time in this game if I've been able to do this amount of prototyping on my ship design. Like I've like been iterating like crazy on everything from fighters to starships, or spaceships. Spaceship or starship? Is it a starship if it's limited to one system, or is it it's probably a spaceship because it's limited to one system. So it's a spaceship. If it were a starship, that would imply it could travel between stars. There is a warp drive in the works. Like Paladin has also added like warp blocks. Again, non-functional. They haven't been released because they don't technically work yet. But the idea is that by setting these blocks at different areas of your ship, you're basically setting like XYZ coordinates for the game to essentially like move every block within this like designated square or designated rectangle or what have you. Like this selected area that you have indicated by placing these blocks, and move like all of these blocks at a fast rate, or like copy and paste them somewhere else with like the player, and like teleport the player with them and all kinds of stuff. That would be really cool. That'd be cool. That would basically be like the first version of a jump drive in this game. Some people have also asked for like modders to add energy shields, and I get the desire for that. It's not terribly realistic, although there have been experiments in modern times with cold plasma, so who knows where those could lead. Um, but I understand because people work really hard. People work really, really hard on their ships, and they don't want to, and they want to like give them a chance because as the game stands now, fighters are king, and like missiles destroy everything. So like they want to give their ships a chance against that, and I get that. I get that. I get that. Some people have said that's not terribly realistic. In all honesty, we don't know how technology is going to develop by the year 2077. I think that's when this game is set. Is it set in 2077? Um, I don't think that. Is this even like a? Is this like a prequel to like Minor Wars or whatever? Whatever. Um, but yeah, like in truth, we don't specifically know what technology is going to look like in 2077. I mean, people in like aside from the fact that some of these best science fiction from the last 20 years, from the last 20 years of the last century, seem to have been amazingly prescient in the development in the direction technology has taken. Nobody could have predicted the incredible changes that have happened as a result of the internet, or the incredible changes that have happened as a result of improvements to the design, like improvements to the design of computer CPUs and all sorts of stuff. So really, we don't know what technology is going to look like. I mean, hell, NASA was prototyping a plasma thruster that is basically capable of significantly reducing the travel time to Mars. So, there you go. we don't specifically know. So maybe we'll. I'm not saying we'll have energy shields, but I am saying like that's not realistic about a game that takes place in 2077 about spaceships. We don't know. Is the point? You know. As long as it's explained, as long as it has a scientific basis, this is fiction, of course. As long as it is a firm grounding in science, I could buy some form of defensive shielding, even if it isn't like exactly deflector shields. Um, but yeah, that's basically where we are. That looks really cool. Let me turn that off. That looks super cool. Is the background of the Tanis derelict. I'm really glad. Props. I think it was like Spaceman or something. Props to whoever made this background. You did a great job. You did a fantastic job with this. It is awesome looking. I tip my hat and my ship to you, sir. Let's tip the ship. I have tipped my ship to you, sir. Good work. Good work, sir. I can probably make some super pimp screenshots with this. I'm probably going to be doing that. In fact. Hello? Are you there, Steam? There we go. Super pimp. Super pimp screenshots. Okay. And also, there's one more thing. One more thing I'm going to soapbox about. I like this little ding. I don't know how it got there, but I'm liking it for some reason. Am I weird? I'm liking it. It gives the ship. I like that little ding. I like that little ding. The little ding staying for now. Another thing, some people are on the official Space Engineers forums, were bitching about people wanting solar power cells in this game. What the hell? What do you expect them to use? Like, what do you think is going to be powering your assembler before you build the large reactors to power a ship or to power your base? Like, what? Of all the things to complain about people asking for, like deflector shields, I get that. Warp drives, I get that. But, like, solar power, dude, our spacecraft are powered by solar power today. Come on. Deal with it. That is re-damn-diculous. That is, like, of all the like the weird requests to complain about. Re-goddamn ridiculous. I like the sound. Um, I do have to apologize for having the music off. I usually play this. Like I said, I'm usually iterating on something. I'm usually like testing like changes to like these designs and like building smaller craft to help like those worker bees or working on the Minotaur. And I'm usually like working on something when I'm playing this game. So I'm usually watching something off to the side. Um, I'm usually like watching like YouTube or like a movie, like in some other window. Like just pop a DVD in, like pop like what was I watching before? I think I popped in like G.I. Joe Retaliation or something. I watched that. Don't judge me. um, I like the seeing The Rock in a movie. Like I like a lot of the movies. I think he's really good in that movie. So don't judge me. It's got The Rock and Bruce Willis in it. Coffee, coffee, coffee. Wow, I've ranted on probably the coffee, probably the caffeine. I tried wrapping up this video before, and I keep talking about this game, probably because I like it so much. Yeah. Might still put a gravity drive in that, and that'll just be my oh shit button. Like if I can map a button to a specific function of the ship, like map a button to a gravity generator in that engine pod at the top, like I'll do that. Like just put a gravity generator and a big rock in there with like cushion by landing gear, and that'll be my oh shit button to get out of trouble. That'd be fantastic. I don't know if that's going to happen, when that's going to happen, but that'll be great. Yeah, that's Space Engineers. That's the Mark III Vagrant class interplanetary vessel. Interplanetary spaceship. Interplanetary maybe starship. At some point, when the warp drive is done. Mark III interplanetary space starship that will eventually have Gauss rifles sticking out the front. And bear down on things. And shoot them. Enemies of all humanity. Alright, that's enough. I've got other things I gotta do. So I'm going to end this video here. That is Space Engineers. That's all the crazy stuff I've been working on while talking like a madman. I am most definitely a madman with a spaceship. I'll see you guys later, so later. I think I've said that before. I said it again.